Good morning, Conscious Creation with Cassandra. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit something that is serious and real and the truth of things. Self-admittedly, the truth of things. We are blind leading the blind. I don't think I've met any spiritual leader or teacher that divulged that from the get-go. But here's my disclaimer of divulging that we are blind leading the blind. None of us know what the right answer is. None of us know what the answer is. Everybody has different definitions of right and wrong. There's so many variables to everything. And for one human being to have the brain capacity to pick up on not only their own patterns, but everybody's patterns and the intertwining of everything that is happening simultaneously is impossible. Sorry. There is no such thing as somebody knowing the right answer for somebody else. The only person that knows that right answer for you is yourself somewhere inside of you. Easy to say, much easier to say than to actually figure out what that right answer is for you. And I can say this with full confidence because I have been in this game for 2.5 years of trying to figure out, is this good for me? Is this the right answer? Should I be doing this? I'm not sure. And it's a quite exhausting game. And if I'm going to be even more real, more divulgent of what's going on within me, which is kind of going off topic of what we're talking about today, as many of you may or may not know, I have fear of abandonment from childhood experiences as well as other fears. I had no idea the extent to which these fears were running my life and making decisions for me until I kind of hit rock bottom. Which was recent, by the way. So it's been a very interesting few months here that I haven't really divulged to you guys, so this is me doing so. Hitting rock bottom and being like, how did I get here? And then continuing to have the same thoughts that kept me in rock bottom and got me to rock bottom in the first place. I really had to take an inventory of these thoughts. And 2 years ago-ish, I had the epiphany, so to speak, that there are different sources of thoughts within me. And I'm not saying this is what everybody experiences. This is what was something that I experienced that I tried to define as the following. There were thoughts that were coming from a place of truth, my truth, good, God's conviction, and there were thoughts that were coming from the devil, so to speak, that made me feel less than or bad or a whole slew of negative emotions. And when I was playing this game like a year ago, it was much easier for me to realize when my thoughts were from one source or the other. And I did a pretty good job for a while to not play my auto program of fear and anxiety and not let that dictate my life, but instead be conscious of the truth for me and that I do deserve to be loved, to be cared for, to be cherished, to be part of community. I do deserve these things, even though my auto program tells me No, you don't. If you didn't get it when you were a child, then why would you get it now as an adult? So recognizing these trains of thought and being like, well, which one's true? And if you believe in a greater power, that could give you an answer as to what is true to you. So going back to what I said in the beginning, how I'm just blind leading the blind, this is something that I've done some work on and have come to define it this way with the what's good for me, what's true for me, and what is keeping me in my auto program, keeping me isolated. And the tracks of these two thoughts, how they would play out in 20 or something years, is very different. And that kind of gives me an idea of like, well, God doesn't want me to die by myself in a cabin in the middle of the woods from deprivation of everything. He wants me to flourish and create and spread his love for us humans. And obviously one makes us feel good and one does not. And here's also a little tidbit that I learned. If your thoughts are causing you pain or to be fearful or to have negative emotion, that negative emotion is your inner self in dissonance with that thought. In other words, that is your inner self telling you, your brain, hey, that thought is not true. I am energetically vibrating your being to let you know that that thought is not true. Does that make sense? So going back to my story, I let my auto program, my fears, get the best of me. And it was bad. I was doing okay for quite some time. And then I took myself out of my comfort zone and put myself in a very high intensity, stress, change environment with no kind of guardrail or those lane bumpers when you go bowling. Just, me let out into the world, which is what I did. I traveled Europe for 3 months. And there was a lot of fear there. There was a lot of thoughts of the negative creeping in. Hey, is this the right answer? Hey, should I be doing this? Hey, look at your partner. Are they, what's going on there? Can you trust this person? Can you rely on this person? Conversations that I've had with myself countless of times, and it seems like every time there's something that my partner did, it was added to my bucket of see, this is why I can't rely on people. I'm sure many of you could relate to that. We kind of reinforce our own limiting beliefs by adding these evidences into our bucket that then reinforces, hey, we can't trust people. So I let, not consciously, but unconsciously, I let my auto program, my self-preservation, my coping mechanism that I knew for so long, run the show. Oh my gosh. I did some damage, and I hurt my partner tremendously along the way. I'm not going to go into details at this moment. Maybe I'll save that for another time. But being now in the recovery phase of that, waking up to, hey, I've been listening for the past probably 5-6 months to fear. I've been letting fear win. I've been letting the devil win. I've been letting my life be controlled by negativity and spiraling uncontrollably until I hit rock bottom. So again, blind leading the blind. As much as I love helping people, one of the things that always struck me is how can people that provide healing or help to others not be fully healed themselves? That was something that I was like, I don't understand how somebody could be going out there and helping people when they don't have their own, excuse my language, shit together. I don't know if one ever has their shit together. I don't know if that exists. I think there is healing. I think there is overcoming of one's self or one's experiences and auto programs. And then there is an overcoming in the sense that you actually connect with that pain and connect with that experience, that emotion, and make it yours and come to peace with it. Again, blind leading the blind, I don't know. This is just what I think, and it helps me. So if you don't know what to think, there's always places to start. Everybody has an opinion. Be careful who you listen to, and listen to everybody, you know, with an open mind that this is just them expressing their opinion based off of their experiences. Of course, there are patterns. Psychology is kind of just observing these patterns, and then we have psychologists telling us, well, you know, if you have a person with fear of abandonment, they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then ultimately this is the outcome. Based off of patterns? Maybe. At the same time, I don't think it's a definite. It is a definite if you let the auto program just do whatever it's, you know, self-preservation doing, whatever coping mechanism turned into isolated robot. If you let it do whatever it wants to do, then yes, you will follow in the same lines of that which is predictable. However, since we have the option to be conscious and to be aware, welcome to Conscious Creation with Cassandra, we can take inventory of what's going on here and be like, wait a minute, where is this coming from? Is this me? Is this my truth? Is this who I want to be in the future? Asking ourselves these important questions so that we could align to what we actually want, what is actually true for us, what is good, what is prosperous, and focus our energy here. And every time we're here, we go, we're gonna be here. So that's kind of what has been the intention for myself, and something that I want to teach. So even though I do not have my shit together, I'm still figuring this whole game of life out, still figuring out how my traumas are affecting me as an adult, and how apparently deep-rooted they are, and how much havoc they could cause in a short amount of time. I am aware that there is another option. And I could completely ignore this side and be like, no, this is what I'm being told, these are the thoughts I'm having, therefore this must be true. But if I'm in dissonance with those thoughts by my body having an emotional negative experience, that tells me this is not my truth. So yeah, that was a little bit of my journey, as well as just a heads up, nobody knows, okay? And I'm sorry, for me, that's very painful to come to the realization. I've always searched for somebody to tell me what the right answer is, what path I should follow. And, you know, for your youth to when you graduate college, you kind of do have a structure and a path. But then after that, it's like, good luck, you know, figure it out on your own. And we don't have those resources. But we can develop those resources, becoming conscious and aware of what's going on between our ears. So follow along on this conscious creation journey with Cassandra, and maybe something will stick, you know? Like I said, you don't have to believe everything. You don't need to take it as gospel. Take it as with a grain of sand, and whatever sticks might be something that you needed to hear. So, yeah, good luck. Reach out if you need anything. Have a blessed day and happy holidays.